Good morning, everyone. We are the group number one, presenting the topic Ministry of Commerce and Industry Policy Formulation. So, the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, which is also called the MCI, is a central ministry of the Government of India responsible for shaping the country's trade and industrial policies. Its primary role is to promote the economic growth, encourage the investment, and enhance India's global trade competitiveness. The ministry formulates policies that support the domestic industry, boost export, attract the foreign direct investment, and create a favorable environment for the business to thrive in India. And the MCI operates through two main departments. First one is the Department of Commerce, and the second one is Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, which is also called DPIIT. So, the Department of Commerce, which focuses on regulating the trade, managing the export and import, and maintaining international trade relationship. And the DPIIT, it works to promote the industrial development, facilitate startup, attract investment, and simplify business procedure. So, by developing effective policies and initiatives, the ministry plays a critical role in driving economic growth, creating the job, supporting innovation, and strengthening India's position in the global market. Programs like Making India, Startup India are examples of how the ministry translates policies into tangible outcomes for the economy.
Good morning, everyone. Today I am presenting out the topic role of Ministry of Commerce and Industry in policy formation. The key functions of the ministry, the points are it formulates the and monitors trade and industrial policies, promotes exports and negotiates trade agreements, encourages domestic and foreign trade investments. The next point is that it supports the startup as well as the industrial growth. So the ministry's major role is that it has to set trade and industrial policies. It also negotiates international trade agreements as well as it promote foreign investments and help Indian industries become globally competitive. Role in policy formation. So the points are it identifies trade and industrial priorities, conduct consultations with the industry bodies and experts. It also aligns policies with the national goals like Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat. So in the policy formation, the ministry the first identifies the key sectors that need support. It then consults with the stakeholders such as industry associates before drafting policies that aligns with the India's long-term economic objectives. It drafts major policies like FTP, FDI, and industrial policies, ensures global compliances, coordinates with the other ministries for approval and implementation. So, the ministry draft important frameworks like the foreign trade policies and the FDI policy. It ensures these policies follow global trade rules as well as it work with the ministries to make them practical and effective. The main policies are foreign trade policy FTP from 2023 to 2028. It is basically on the export promotion. The next one is the FDI policy, liberalization. It mainly aims on the liberalization of investment. The next one is that the Startup India and Make in India. The entrepreneurship and manufacturing growth is the main motive behind it. The next one is that the ease of doing business reforms. The some of the as you all know that some of the key initiatives are the foreign trade policy that support exports as well as the FDI policy that welcomes the global investors and the campaigns like Startup India, Make in India that encourages innovation as well as the domestic production. The contribution to economic growth. It mainly focused on the boost exports as well as the GDP. The next point is that it also attracts the FDI as well as it creates jobs. It also strengthens India's global trade network. Through its policies, the ministry has contributed to India's rising GDP as well as the job creation. The export promotion and the foreign investment have made India one of the fastest growing economies in the world.
So, good morning, everyone. So, my topic is policy formulation process. So, let's look onto the overview of policy formulation. Government policies, especially in trade and industry, are developed through a systematic and well-planned process. These are based on data, research, and stakeholder input to ensure that the policy benefits the economy, business, and the public. And generally, the government policies, especially in areas like the trade, industry, and foreign exchange, are not made suddenly. They are created through a systematic and well-planned process to ensure that the policies meet the national goals and address the real issues and benefits the various stakeholders and such as industries, exporters, and the general public. Now, let's go on to the policy formulation process. So, step one is to identify your need. By identifying your need, it's like recognizing that there is a problem or opportunity in the economy or a trade sector. For example, um, policy markets might notice that exporters are declining, so trade deficits are widening, or certain industries are struggling to compete globally. Now, let's go on to the step two, that is research and analysis. Um, in here, we'll collect the data and evaluate the challenges using economic indicators. Once the need is identified, the detailed research and data analysis are conducted in a basis, and the government collects information on trade performance, market trends, global demand, and barriers faced by the industries. And the experts and analysis also evaluate the economic data and trade reports and global competitiveness to understand the root cause of the issue. Now let's move on to the next step, that is drafting policy. In this, we will prepare a draft with clear objectives and strategies. It is based on the research findings we prepare the draft policy. This draft outlines the objectives and strategies that we use for promoting exports, attracting FDI, or supporting local manufacturing. The draft act as a blueprint that guides how policy will achieve its goals. For example, uh, FTP. For example, FTP 2023 included reducing documentation and promoting e-commerce exports. Next, we'll go on to the step 4, that is stakeholder consultation. In this, consult industry bodies and experts for feedback. Before finalizing the policy, the government conducts consultations with stakeholders such as industry associations, exporters, business chambers, and economists. Their feedback ensures that the policy is practical, inclusive, and address the needs of those who will be affected by it. This step adds transparency and inclusivity to the policy making process. For example, the Commerce Ministry held multiple meetings with the export councils and trade bodies before finalizing the Foreign Trade Policy 2023 to ensure their concerns were incorporated. Now, let's move on to the step number 5. And step number 5 is approval and notification. Policy is finalized and published by a relevant ministry. After incorporating the feedback, the final draft is submitted for the government for the approval. The policy may go through review by various ministries, the cabinet, or the parliament, depending on the importance and scope. Once approved, it is officially notified to the public through a gazette or government website. For example, FTP 2023 was announced by the Ministry of Commerce and Industry and published for implementation from April 1 2023. And when we move on to the last step, that is implementation and monitoring. In here, the policy is applied and reviewed regularly. That is, after approval, the policy is put into action by the concerned departments or ministries, and it is followed by continuous monitoring and evaluation, and is done on a track performance and make necessary modifications when needed. For example, the Directorate General of Foreign Trade monitors the implementation of FTP and evaluates exports growth, complaints, and overall trade performance. Now we move on to the last, the key message and the insights. Um, that is, policy formulation is a structured and data driven and transparent process. and each step ensures that the decisions are well researched and inclusive. Policy making involves collaboration among ministries, DGFT, NITI, IOC, and industry chambers. Continuous review keeps policies relevant to changing global and domestic conditions. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Meghna. My topic is different type of policies. The first one is trade policy. This policy decide how a country buy and sell goods with the rest of the world. It sets import duties, export rules, and trade agreements. A simple example is when the government reduce import duty on technology so that companies can bring in better machine at the cheap rate. The next policy is industrial policy. This policy focus on improving industrial insides the country. It support manufacturing, startup, and new industrial projects. Make in India is the best example because it encourage companies to produce goods in India, creating job and more job opportunity, boosting the economy, etc. The next policy is investment policy. This policy guides how investment flow in the country. It make it easier for both Indian and foreign companies to invest in business. Policies like foreign direct investment allow foreign investors to take part in Indian companies and contribute money, technology, skills, etc. Uh, Next policy is export promotion policy. This policy helps Indian business sell their product in international market. It provide benefits such as tax exemption, subsidies, special zones, etc. The special zones special economic zones are a great example because companies in those areas get a tax benefit than make export cheaper and more competitive globally. The next policy is innovation and technology policy. This policy encourage new ideas, research, digital technology, and startup development. Programs like Digital India and Startup India help innovators grow by given support, funding opportunity, and modern digital infrastructure. That's about my topic. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Pranav. Today I will talk about the key incentives by the Ministry of Commerce and Industry that aim to strengthen India's economy and global position, mainly Startup India, Making India, Production Linked Incentive Scheme, and National Logistic Policy. Make in India, launched in 2040 to make India a global manufacturing hub. It focuses on attracting investment, building infrastructure, and boosting industry growth. Foreign direct investment inflow have grown sharply, showing investors confidence in India's potential. Startup India. Startup India was introduced in 2016 to promote innovation and entrepreneurship, provides fund, tax benefit, and easier regulation. Over 1.5 lakh startups are now recognized and create large-scale employment. Production Linked Incentives Scheme. It was introduced in 2020 to boost manufacturing and export in 14 key sectors, including electronic, textile, pharmaceutical, and advanced technology. The company get incentives for higher production. It has led to huge investment and job creation and export growth. Logistics excellence and digital infrastructure. The efficient logistics are essential for trade. The National Logistic Policy, launched in September 2022, aims to reduce India's logistics cost, currently around 7.97 of GDP. The key components include the SMILE program, which integrate the state and city logistics plan, Logistic Data Bank 2.0 for real-time tracking of goods, the government e-marketplace, launched in 2016 for transparent public procurement.
Good morning. My name is Sajal. I am here to present the topic challenges in policy formulation. First one is conflicting interest. It affects balancing political, economic, and social priorities. Next is lack of data. Insufficient and unrealistic data affect evidence-based decision. Third one is bureaucratic hurdles, slow decision making, and rigid administrative structure. Next one is resource constraint. It affects the limited interest, financial, and human resources. Fifth one is political interferences. It affects short-term political gains overshadow long-term goals. Next one is coordinate issues. Poor interdepartmental and stakeholders coordination and collaborations. Last one is implementation gaps. It affects the weak monitoring and lack of accountability mechanisms.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sanat Baiju. As we come to the conclusion of our presentation, it's clear that the Ministry of Commerce and Industry holds a crucial place in India's economic structure. The ministry acts as a bridge between the government and business sector that ensures the policies are created to encourage the trade, support the industry, and attract both domestic and foreign investment. Every policy made by the industry goes through a systematic and transparent process. It begins with the identifying the issues, conducting the research, and consulting the stakeholders, and finally implementing the effective strategies. Over the years, India's initiatives such as Make in India, Startup India, and Ease of Doing Business have significantly contributed to industrial growth, job creation, and export promotion. Looking ahead to the future, the ministry aims to build a more sustainable and innovation driven economy. It is working towards the first one is developing green and eco friendly industries. Second, strengthening India's position in global trade. Third one, promoting the startup and digital trade and ensuring that the benefits of economic growth reach small business and rural entrepreneurs. In the coming years, the ministry focus will be on the growth of the sustainability of our country, making sure that the economic development goes hand in hand with environmental protection and social responsibility. By concluding, the summary of commerce and industry serves as the policy backbone of India's economic progress. Through this continuous effort, India is steadily moved towards becoming a self-reliant and globally competitive economic power. Thank you.